Hi and welcome to Soccer Scoop, your home of soccer. Today we shall go through the top 10 famous soccer players who unfortunately did not win the Premier League title. Number 10. Steve McManaman. It is unlikely that Steve McManaman has ever lost a night's sleep worrying about the fact he never won a title in England. Within 12 months of moving to Real Madrid from Liverpool, he was lifting the Champions League trophy in Paris. That was after a man-of-the-match performance and a stunning goal in a 3-0 win against Valencia in the 2000 final at the Stade de France. In 4 seasons at the Bernabeu he won 2 Champions Leagues and 2 La Liga titles. Of course he also played for Liverpool and Manchester City, but in those days the most successful league clubs were Manchester United, Arsenal, Leeds, Blackburn and Chelsea. Number 9. Xabi Alonso. It doesn't seem fair that in an era when Spain had midfielders as good as Xavi, Andres Iniesta, David Silva, Sergio Busquets and Cesc Fabregas, they also had Xabi Alonso. He could read and control the game, and his long-range passing as a deep-lying midfielder was out of this world. He spent 5 years at Anfield and was an integral part of the Liverpool side that won the Champions League in 2005. He only started winning league titles after he left Liverpool, the 1 at Real Madrid and 3 at Bayern Munich. Number 8. Sir Tom Finney. Sir Tom Finney was one of English football's all-time greats. Bill Shankly said he was the best player he had ever seen. He was so good they called Preston a one-man team, and his loyalty to the club prevented him winning major honours elsewhere. The closest he came to winning the title was when Preston finished second behind Arsenal in 1953, losing out on goal difference, and when they finished second behind Wolves in 1958. He retired in 1960 after scoring 247 times in 566 games. Preston were relegated that year, finishing bottom of the table. Incredibly, they have never returned to the top flight since. His 30 goals for England was a record at the time. He played for England in 3 World Cups. Number 7. Robbie Fowler. Robbie Fowler scored on his Liverpool debut and never looked back, establishing himself as the best natural finisher of his generation. He was so good Liverpool fans called him God. At Anfield he was part of Roy Evans' exciting young team which pushed Manchester United and Newcastle in the title race in 1996, but that proved to be as good as it got as far as league titles were concerned. He won 4 major honours at Anfield, including a cup treble in 2001. During 2 spells at Liverpool between 1993 and 2007 he scored 183 goals across 11 seasons. Number 6. Sir Stanley Matthews. Sir Stanley Matthews was still playing when at 50 he was knighted at Buckingham Palace. His career was remarkable. He started playing for £1 a week in 1929, and when he retired in 1965 players such as Eusebio, Ferenc Puskás, Alfredo Di Stefano, Bobby Moore and Bobby Charlton were lining up to play in his testimonial. One of his opponents said defending against the Wizard of the Dribble was like trying to mark a ghost. In 29 seasons at Stoke and Blackpool, interrupted by the Second World War, he won only 1 major trophy. That was the FA Cup in 1953. Blackpool were losing 3-1 to Bolton in the second half when Matthews set up 3 goals to seal a famous 4-3 win. It will always be known as the Matthews Final, even though his teammate Stan Mortensen scored a hat-trick. Matthews also played 54 times for England, scoring 11 times. Number 5. Matthew Le Tissier. Matthew Le Tissier was given the freedom to showcase his talent at Southampton by manager Chris Nicholl, who built a team capable of beating anyone on their day. When Nicholl left in 1991, he gave way to the more pragmatic Ian Branfoot as Southampton became perennial strugglers, whose prospects of survival rested on Le Tissier. He still managed to shine, and did so even more brightly when Alan Ball took over from Branfoot during the 1993-94 season. Ball put his hand on Le Tissier's shoulders in the dressing room before his first game, and reminded the rest of the squad that their hopes of survival rested on his shoulders, and that they should give him the ball as often as they could. His strength and close control allowed him to beat players in the spaces between midfield and attack. His deadly shooting accuracy from range often left opposition defenses and goalkeepers dumbfounded. Free kicks and penalties were also a speciality for a player who scored 209 goals in 540 appearances for a side that struggled most seasons. He always stayed loyal to Southampton despite offers of lucrative moves to Tottenham and Chelsea. Number 4. Jamie Carragher. There's no question that Jamie Carragher was good enough to play in a title-winning side. He just played for Liverpool in an era when the likes of Manchester United, Arsenal and Chelsea were dominating the Premier League. The closest he came to winning the title was in 2009 when Liverpool finished second, 4 points behind Manchester United, and in 2002 when they finished second behind Arsenal. Carragher was a legendary one-club man who would be regarded by many as the best defender to have ever played for Liverpool. While he may be challenged by Virgil van Dijk for that honour in years to come, Carragher can always look back on an incredible career which saw him win 7 major trophies including the Champions League in 2005. Number 3. Glenn Hoddle. If you were making a list of the most naturally talented footballers England had produced, you could make a pretty good case for making Glenn Hoddle number 1. In the 70s and 80s he was the player every kid in the playground wanted to be. He had extraordinary vision and ability and he looked the part, stylish, elegant and supremely gifted. He won 2 FA Cups at Spurs, but it wasn't until he moved to Monaco that he got his hands on a league title in 1988. It's remarkable that he played only 53 times for England. He was regarded by some as a luxury player. If he'd been any other nationality he would probably have played twice as many games for his country. In September 1983 he scored one of the best goals you will ever see in a 3-2 win for Spurs at Watford. One touch, turn and an outrageous chip. All in under 3 seconds. Somehow it wasn't goal of the season, but those who have seen it will never forget it. Number 2. Steven Gerrard. Liverpool had already gone nearly a decade without winning the title when Steven Gerrard made his debut in 1998. He was a key figure at Anfield as Gerard Houllier moved the club on from the unfulfilled promise of the Spice Boys era and turned them into an accomplished cup side. Gerrard grew in stature under Rafa Benitez and his remarkable captain's display in Istanbul helped Liverpool win the Champions League final in 2005 despite having been 3-0 down at half-time against AC Milan. He could have won the title elsewhere if he had not turned down 2 chances to sign for Chelsea. The closest he came to winning the title at Liverpool was in 2009 and in 2014 when his infamous slip allowed Demba Ba to score for Chelsea in a 2-0 win at Anfield. 12 months later, Gerrard moved to LA Galaxy after 17 seasons at Liverpool. He won 7 major honours at Anfield, but no league title. He is arguably Liverpool's greatest ever player, but Sir Kenny Dalglish and Graham Souness might have something to say about that. Number 1. Bobby Moore. Bobby Moore could read the game as easily as you have read this article. In an era when centre-backs had to be tough as teak, he was a pure footballer who was renowned for the timing of his tackles and his leadership qualities. He is a national icon who captained England to World Cup glory in 1966 and his statue stands proudly outside Wembley Stadium. He played for England an incredible 108 times in an era when caps were hard to come by. He is unquestionably West Ham's greatest ever player and he ended his career at Upton Park having won an FA Cup and a European Cup Winners' Cup. Pelé described him as the best defender the world has ever seen. Thank you all for watching. Until next time.